The Detroit Regional News Hub hosted their third annual Transformation Detroit event.
It's all part of their ongoing effort to educate local reporters and leaders about the improvements happening in our region.
In past years, they took reporters on a tour of the downtown area and then Midtown. But this time around, they wanted to showcase what was going on in neighborhoods.
I think everyone knows that if you don't fix the neighborhoods in Detroit, you don't fix the region, and you don't fix the downtown department, downtown organization. So I think showing reporters what's happening in Detroit and what's happening in our neighborhoods, the good and the bad, and what progress we're making is a great thing to do.
Part of the bus tour included a visit to the Old Redford High School demolition in the surrounding area where John George and Motor City Blight Busters have been helping with the makeover.
George-led reporters are part of the bus tour.
At Blight Busters, we've always invited everyone to participate in the rebirth of Detroit, and I think it's important to show that the city and suburbs are working together in an effort to stabilize, revitalize, and beautify Detroit.
Motor City Blight Busters has just been a staple in this neighborhood for revitalizing and stabilizing. After they did that, they wanted to start on the economic development of this neighborhood, which called for my vision and my dream to merge with their movement, and so they have helped me to build the coffee shop and to help bring volunteers through here and just support us in any kind of way.
YNN reporters were among 70 reporters from around the globe. The reporters not only stopped in the Old Redford area, but they headed to Southwest Detroit and visited the Detroit 555 and saw some urban gardening. We caught up with a couple of reporters to ask them what they thought about the tour.
Well, I've lived here since the late 1980s, and it was a pretty bad place when I moved here, and I'm really encouraged right now about what's happening in the city, particularly downtown. There's a lot of action, a lot of activity there, but now we're getting to see today that some of the neighborhoods are really taking things into their own hands.
I always like to try to find out what's going on in Detroit because we're always looking for any kind of positive coverage and also to better understand what's going on. It's a city with a lot of trouble, and you really want to know anything that you can about, how things are developing here.
Is there anything new that you have learned at this event about our region?
Well, actually, I'd never been to Brightmoor. I'd never been to this area. I didn't know the history. So this was interesting for me just to learn a little bit more about how the neighborhoods are formed, because neighborhood identities tend to be long-lasting, and they affect how the neighborhoods develop. This neighborhood was developed for poor people with substandard housing. The neighborhood right next door was developed for rich people. They're still thriving. This neighborhood isn't. You can understand it was started out in the very beginning, 1920. It was preordained to some degree how they would develop. And so understanding that makes it easier to understand what you might expect in the future.
The Detroit Regional News Hub led a tour that showed transformation in many neighborhoods in Detroit. I'm Dylan Clark reporting from YNN Logan Network, where we bring you the younger side of the news.